Hello, everyone. I'm James Milan. Welcome to the DPCD update. And of course, DPCD stands for our Department of Planning and Community Development. And I am with the director, as I usually, well, pretty much always am. And that's Jennifer Raitt. Jenny, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So let's get right into it. The Net Zero Action Plan has reached a significant milestone in terms of its completion for number one, and then also a recent endorsement from the select board here in town. So I'm wondering, what does that mean for Arlington, and what's next? What are the next steps going forward?
Yeah, well, it was a significant milestone and one that I think should be celebrated by really the entire community, but particularly credit goes to the Arlington Select Board for, of course, endorsing it and their foresight into the need to really address the issue, of course, now imminently, and of course, by 2050 to get to net zero. So I think that right there, really big credit to the town manager and the select board for that foresight and leadership. And then the Clean Energy Future Committee, really has done the bulk of the work in terms of really mobilizing the effort, helping us with volunteer resources, time and energy, and really building out the capacity to do a lot of the inventory, helping us to build out the strategies, and then of course now do the important work with our staff of implementing the plan. And so, what it means now that the plan has been endorsed, really actually before the plan was endorsed, the committee was already thinking about what are the early things that we can start working on now, sort of more near term, as in the first 1 to 3 years, let's say, of the plan. And then, what do we need to kind of build into for the longer term? So they've already started to map out some of those, sort of early wins and then the longer term goals that they want to start inching away towards. And from the early win perspective, one of them that is probably the most obvious and one we've talked about before is the fossil fuel free buildings. I think that if we can continue to work on that, continue to also work towards a net zero stretch code, those would be things that would have, a really important impact in Arlington, because we know that to get to net zero, we have to work on our building infrastructure. The other area is in transportation and mobility, and the committee is very, they're very interested in supporting the efforts of implementing some of the goals of the Connect Arlington Long-Range Transportation Plan. One of those most important goals is to create a local transportation improvement program, which would help us to have a better map forward of figuring out how we allocate and appropriate resources towards transportation goals, sort of for like a 5-year, 10-year plan, especially since there's very big roadway projects and then there's some very small ones. But to do that in a way that is a little more transparent and also to leverage as many resources as possible, because we know that the town can't fund everything. And we also know that there's some opportunities at times to build out more complete streets, which also helps to, in concert with that goal, implement the Net Zero Action Plan, actually. So there's some really interesting overlapping elements to Net Zero Action Plan and Connect Arlington. So that would be a second area. The third area where there's some energy right now, and I guess that was unintended there, but
no way.
But it really worked. Is in the really thinking about other energy savings and programs for Arlington property owners. And that's through the ACE program, but it's also to build out the Electrify Arlington website and to make that resource available to anybody who's looking to make those types of improvements to their property. And sort of related to that is actually looking at a program that the state offers for commercial property owners. So we are investigating things that relate to buildings, mobility, and clean energy. And those are the things to anticipate in the future.
Yeah, you just referred to the ACE program, and I know that that's Arlington Community Electricity. If you can just explain a little bit more for those who might not know in the audience, exactly what that is and what the opportunity is for homeowners here.
Sure. Well, it's an opportunity that actually a little more than 1,000 property owners have already been able to leverage. And I would say that, if people are interested in learning more about that program, to go to the town's website to educate themselves and determine if it is the right fit for their family and their property, to basically leverage that opportunity to lower the amount that you're paying, and to leverage the long-term alternative energy.
Great. Another to kind of pivot to a slightly different subject area, we've also been in recent updates and in recent months talking about the rollout and the ongoing progress in a couple of the major plans that you guys are in the process of developing. And we've spoken in the past about open space and recreation and gotten updates on that. I'd love to find out what the story is currently with the housing plan, and specifically, how is outreach for public input going, and how long are residents going to be able to, provide their feedback around the housing plan that's being developed?
Sure. So the Arlington Housing Plan, we had our forum in our last community virtual forum in June. And at that point, we were really starting the housing needs assessment process, which is one component of the housing plan itself. And as part of the development process, we had interviewed stakeholders, we held focus group meetings, and we've had sort of continued conversations with different focus groups in the community, as well as utilizing the meeting in a box, which is that opportunity for people to sort of more informally meet and discuss and talk about housing. It comes in a box, as in there's basically discussion prompts, though they're suggested discussion prompts for a group who's looking to informally discuss housing. They send it back to our office and we provide that to the consultant who's helping us to develop the plan. So we've had a number of people organize these meeting in a box. And we also had a survey that was posted. It's still also active, that was following up from the first forum. We've been obviously pretty visible at the farmers market on occasion this summer, and we'll be continuing through the fall. So we've had a number of opportunities for people to engage so far, but more will be coming, including the next community forum on September 14th at 6:30 p.m., also virtual. Pretty much all of our engagement through the fall will likely be remote and virtual through Zoom, just so that viewers can likely anticipate that. If I say a meeting, it's probably going to be a virtual meeting. But nonetheless, an opportunity for people to learn more about the planning process, to engage with some of the data and information that we've been collecting and analyzing, and to also start to provide some feedback about housing needs and sort of the local housing demand. And what that means is, what is the demand for certain types of housing in Arlington, both for its current residents and then, of course, to fill the broader need throughout the Metro Boston region. Arlington, of course, is Arlington is within a broader housing market. And so a lot of the things that we see with development trends and market trends that are happening in Arlington very much are similar to other places in the Metro Boston region. And so we want to take all of that into account and also get the opportunity to hear from people and better develop the housing needs assessment by both sharing and, of course, learning more from people experiencing these issues on the ground. The last step in the process is actually to develop the housing goals and the strategies, and that'll come in the next phase of this process.
Okay, yeah, so we are speaking to you at the end of August. That means that probably this is people's best opportunity to hear. We may have a chance to talk about it again, about the forum that is scheduled for, you said September 16th. We want to make sure that that's clear for people.
14th.
14th, see, there you go. September 14th,
at 6:30
folks.
p.m. though.
Listen better than I was doing. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's one option. And just to summarize the other things you've said, there's also the survey that people can access through the town's website, and that will be up still for a while, I assume.
It will still be up, yes. And the
Okay.
meeting in a box is still available to anybody who would like to do that, which of course it would be awesome. The more people who do it, the better. We've already received some meetings back, and it's very interesting to hear what people are talking about.
Yes, and I think anybody who happened to catch a previous DPCD update in which we spoke about this will remember perhaps my great enthusiasm about that idea. And I'm glad to hear that you have, in fact, had some response on that already. And I certainly would encourage all you out there in the audience with an interest in this kind of thing. It sounds like this is just an opportunity for you to get together with people that you know and speak about this either with the help of the prompts that Jenny was mentioning or on your own, and then deliver that kind of collective sentiment to our Department of Planning and Community Development, and they will, I'm sure, take it seriously. All right, Jenny, anything that we have failed to mention that we should?
The only other thing is related to the open space and recreation plan, which you sort of talked about in the beginning and mentioning as a sort of parallel process. It is a longer process than the housing plan itself, which is going to be wrapped up at the end of this year, whereas the open space plan will go through part of next year. But that plan also has an active survey. We've already had 650 people take the survey, which we truly appreciate, wow. But there are many more people who potentially could take it, and we hope you will. That is live on the town's website as well.
And 650 is an impressive number, but there are 43,000 people who live here and 19,000 plus households, et cetera. So let's get those numbers up because obviously there are a whole lot of people here with a direct interest in what our open space and recreation possibilities are. All right, thanks for mentioning that. And if you are all set, I think we are from our end. So I will thank you for your time, as we always do, and genuinely appreciate it. I have been, of course, speaking with Jenny Raitt, who is the Director of our Department of Planning and Community Development for this DPCD update. I'm James Milan. Thanks, Jenny, for your time. Thank you for your time out there. We'll see you next time.